Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Public Safety Committee here with Community Board 12. I'm Jumirna Alcover, and I am your Assistant Chair. At the moment, we do not have quorum. However, for time purposes, we can start with the reports, crime stats from our local precincts. If we have the 33rd precinct present with us tonight, you can share with us anything you have for the last couple of days.
It's Lieutenant Sub-Girl from 33rd. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here tonight.
Of course. I'm going to go over a couple of crime stats. For the past 28 day, murders are 0 versus 1. Rapes are up 1 versus 0. Robberies are down for the 28 day, 7 versus 12 for a total of about 42% down. Felonies assaults are up 17 to 16. So they're up 6.2%. Burglaries are down 10 versus 21. So that's a drop in 52.4%. Grand larcenies are what's up, what's a driving crime right now for the past 28 day, where it's 32 versus 21, so a rise of also 52.4%. Grand larceny auto are also down for the past 28 day, 6 versus 10 that's a drop of 40%. For the 28 day total, we are down 9.9%. So basically 10% we're down in crime. Year to date, we're fighting 150 versus 164. So year to date, we have an 8.5% drop in crime. What's driving the grand larcenies are basically the unattended properties from the autos. So what we're asking is everyone, please just lock your cars. Don't leave anything valuable inside the car, especially for someone to see it, because our cars are getting broken into along Edgecombe and Riverside Drive. We're increasing our presence there. It's basically happening on the midnight, overnight. So we'll have increased presence along those areas, along those corridors on the midnight hour, during the midnight hours. But please, if you can, just don't leave any valuables, jewelry, money in your cars, where people could just come break into your car and just take your valuables. Any questions?
Hey, Barbara, I saw you unmuted. You unmuted yourself. Do you have a question for the precinct?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, you had begun an initiative on trying to deal with the illegal paper plates and illegal license plates, and you were going to reach out to other jurisdictions about that. Have you been able to work on that?
Hi, Barbara. I would have to get back to you on that. I haven't sat in one of these meetings in a while. So I will I will look into it and get back to you. I don't have anything off the top of my head right now in regards to those illegal. But we do have our traffic teams out there. We do have our traffic teams out there. We have our public safety and our NCOs, our neighborhood coordination officers, going after paper plates, those illegal scooters. We are confiscating scooters on a daily basis. But as far as your specific question in regards to an initiative with other agencies or anything, I'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, and then my other question was the e-bikes, especially because of some of the tragic fires that we've had.
Okay.
I mean, confiscating them, how do you track them? What's your general approach on it?
So the e-bikes, Ivani, the e-bikes, they have to be registered.
Yes, well, the e-bikes are legal.
They're legal.
The e-bikes are legal. It's
So
the mopeds
e-bikes currently are
Yes.
legal. The mopeds are what's illegal. But unless they're being driven recklessly throughout the sidewalk, that's the only way we can enforce it. So you're asking about what we're doing because they're lighting on fire?
Yeah, the illegal, I mean, the below market batteries, really. I understand e-bikes are fully legal. I mean, are you able to identify on the street below market batteries, or is that something that has to be done by a very close inspection?
Yeah, that would be something done not by us. That'd be done by another agency.
I
That
see.
would not be done us.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem, Barbara.
Okay.
Thanks, Barbara. Any other
Mhm.
board members, committee members have questions for the precinct?
I do.
Go ahead, Indiana.
Thank you. I just wanted to know if there were any other updates or information that you've learned about the like the e-bikes and the like people riding on the sidewalks, any like changes and trends that you've noticed, anything like that?
No specific trends, just really it's the constant, they're being driven by, reckless driving throughout the sidewalk throughout the streets. So we are taking an approach specifically currently, along the Broadway corridor. We do have a joint effort actually in regards to the Broadway corridor all throughout, from the 3-4 down south, I believe to the 2-0, addressing reckless driving, failure to yield to pedestrians and texting, uh, along the corridor. Each day, it's an initiative between multi-precinct commands to address the way they drive. And also, like I said, we are taking bikes. We have a parking lot full of them. Every time I get rid of a few, we get more. Hypothetically, I get rid of 10 I send 10 to the pound. I come back the next day, there's 20 more in the parking lot. So we do have a ongoing, never-ending initiative in order to address these bikes.
Okay, thank you. And I did have one more question. I am a wheelchair user, and my wheelchair is actually like pretty big and like big, like a big power chair. And I have had issues now, right on 165th and Broadway, like right by the hospital area, where I've almost been hit when I was crossing with the crosswalk, by cars that are like double parked on Broadway and
Mhm.
like back up. And I mean, even in that big chair in broad daylight with the crossing signal, I've almost been hit twice recently. Is there any kind of like initiative taking a look at like the double parked cars or anything? If nothing else, I just want to put it on your radar because it's certainly something that I'm seeing an increase of.
No problem. I'm actually bringing up Google Maps as you tell me this, just like, 'cause I like to see things as
Right by the Wendy's.
sure. So let me just bring it up. And Broadway, you said, right?
Yes.
So you're saying right by the Wendy's?
Yes, it was right. Both times it was right there.
Is
And
it
it
on
was,
the west side where you remember, or it doesn't really matter, to tell you the truth?
so it was like basically right as I would be getting onto the little sidewalk curb cut to get like
Okay.
in front of Wendy's, right around
So
there.
that's I'll bring that up to our patrol officers in the morning, and also my traffic sergeant and my traffic team.
Thank you so
So they
much.
can bring up, I see where you're coming from. It is right across the street from the hospital.
Yeah.
High traffic area. Then there's the Chase Bank over there. But I will definitely bring it up. It's
Thank
right
you
across
so
from the
much.
ER. I'll definitely bring it up to the traffic officers.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate it because it's now been like 2 or 3 times where it's been really close calls and it's
Okay.
always been that little intersection. Thank you very much.
No problem, Indiana.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from our attendees? Feel free to share them in the chat. Thank you, 33rd Precinct. Please stick around if you
No
have.
problem. I'll stick around for a bit.
Thank you. And now our 34th Precinct.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Officer Navarette. So for the 28-day period in the 34th precinct, it's been a challenging 28 days. We have seen increases in felony assaults, 44%, grand larceny, 48%, grand larceny auto, 41%. We did take a big decrease in burglaries and robberies. Even though we've been taking most of these felony assaults have been from nightlife, um, fights that are stemming from locations spilling outside or people using objects during these fights, making it a felony assault. Even though we did see an increase of felony assaults, our patrol officers are out there, especially in the midnight platoon, enforcing these places when the clubs let out, when they know that conflicts can happen when people had a little bit too much to drink. So In regards to felonious assaults, we're up 109% in the 28-day period. As far as the grand larcenies, so our grand larcenies are a little bit mix of things. Making up the grand larceny is retail theft, so shoplifting, snatches, cell phone snatches, as the 33rd precinct seen, property being stolen from vehicles. And also we've been seeing an increase in airbag thefts, which funny enough, it's old, but it's coming back. Targeting Hondas at this point, what we've seen so far, that's the pattern that we've seen. In regards to those grand larcenies from the autos, it's important to remind everyone, please, anything valuable, remove it from your vehicles, bring it inside. If it's a bag that you keep inside that maybe you don't have something valuable in there, just remove that bag, so you don't give someone who's looking for an opportunity to take something or may believe something's in there, that could cause damage to your vehicle. Also, park in well-lit areas if possible. Let's see. So I have in regards to the 28-day period in crime. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. When you say burglary specifically within nightlife, what type of burglary do we see once folks get out of, nightclubs and stuff like that?
I'm sorry. I think you may have misunderstood me. Burglary is actually down 78%. Nightlife
Oh,
referring to the felonious assaults. So the felony assaults are mainly coming from nightlife.
So
And
do you mean
one,
like fights?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So you mean there's like fights after the bars close or something like that?
Yeah, so we have officers strategically placed in the areas around the time that the clubs close. So this way, as a deterrent, as increased presence, and also to deter these. And it goes to show because the officers, even though we are up 44%, we are also up in felonious assault arrest 109%. Therefore, saying we are there. Some things we can't prevent. We are there showing presence. However, things may happen, but we are there to protect everyone.
thank you. I
If
have
I
two.
thing,
Oh, go ahead.
there was questions in regards to the batteries and e-bikes.
Mhm.
What we are doing and other precincts are doing in regards to e-batteries and them being illegally stored and potentially being dangerous to residential buildings that can cause fires. We are partnering up with with FDNY fire marshals. So we would like to encourage our residents, if they see any illegal storage of e-bikes or that they see in their buildings, please reach out to our precinct and give us that information that will help us, and we can get in touch with the proper agency, which in this case would be the FDNY. We'll partner up with them to make sure your building is safe. Also, as the weather is getting a little bit warm here and there, aside from the rain, we are having our youth officers do more directed patrols in the parks, making sure that the mopeds are out of there and the park is safe for everyone to use.
May I speak?
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Robert.
I wanted to comment again about the license plates. As I drive around the neighborhood, I've noticed anecdotally a, l- I see a big decrease in the paper plates in the 34th. I live, in the 34th, and I've noticed a pretty sharp decrease in paper plates. I used to be able to drive up like Bogardus or Hillside Avenue, and I'd see 4 or 5 paper plates, and I don't see any now. But what I do see are a proliferation of license plates from Texas, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I mean, come on. I mean, these people are not living in Texas and California. So, I mean, you're required by law to register within 30 days if you've moved. And I don't think these people even moved from California or Texas. So, how do you address people using, out of state plates to avoid tolls, avoid higher insurance rates, and all that stuff?
That's a very good question. unfortunately, there's no real way for us to enforce because of the way it's being obtained. They're obtaining these plates legally, not truthfully. Mentioned most may not live, you know, in and out here. However, when the officers are out there and when violations are committed, because we can't just stop a car because they're out of state plates, whether it's New Jersey, which is right across the river, or Connecticut, or Texas, or Georgia. But when they do commit the traffic infractions, the officers are pulling them over, and they have the paperwork for it. Once they have the paperwork for it, and it's legitimate paperwork, there's no way to enforce them obtaining a legal out of state plate.
Thank you. I do have two questions for both precincts. If anybody else has another question for the 34th. All right, so my first question is on behalf of a fellow board member. Have there been any reports on animal abuse, animal cruelty in either of the precincts?
Not in the 34th precinct. Actually, in the 34th precinct, we get some people that bring in lost dogs, and we try to get them back to their owners. But no cruelty reported.
Same. We do have time to time. We had one yesterday. Someone turned in a beagle mix. We do have people come in with lost dogs. But as far as animal cruelty itself, not that we know of, no.
Thank you. And my other question is pertaining to cannabis. Recently, our board voted on approving legal cannabis shops, businesses that are looking to open within the two precincts. So we are hoping that for next month, that the two precincts could share with us information on some of the strategies or initiatives they're working on to address illegal cannabis shops in their neighborhood, because there are a couple community members and legal cannabis organizations and businesses that are looking to have a conversation with the two precincts. So if we can keep that on your radar for April, we will really appreciate that.
Sure, not a problem. I'll make a note of it so we have it ready for next month.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. We could also we would like to invite them as well, the new business owners, to our community council meeting and get to meet us, get to meet the commanding officers. Actually, the 34th precinct's community council meeting will be tomorrow. That's the next one tomorrow at 7 p.m. at PS 176. That's the physical address is 4862 Broadway, and the cross streets are Academy Street and West 204th Street. So that's a good place to discuss further and get to meet one another.
Thank you for that 33rd and 34th precinct. If we don't have any other questions, we can move on with our other reps here. Oh, Barbara?
I did want to ask, it's always a difficult subject to bring up, domestic violence. That's often been, or it's been a persistent difficulty in the 33rd and 34th. Actually, in prior years, that's actually when the murder rate was practically zero. That's actually been almost the only incidences of murder. How have these incidents of domestic violence been doing, especially post-COVID? In other words, how have you been able to reach out to families or monitor or so forth?
The domestic violence officers in the 34th precinct are constantly in touch with the crime victims. Aside from crime victims, they're also going out. The venues for their outreaches vary from pop-up table at heavy traffic areas to more ones like build a block meetings and community council meetings. So that's how we're getting out, and also providing them with useful information, crime victim information, numbers for Safe Horizon stuff like that.
Sure, sure. Have you seen an increase since COVID in domestic violence? You don't know? I mean, that's sort of not your venue.
Yeah, I don't have that information, so I can't speak to that.
Okay. It might be nice if maybe one of the officers could come to our next meeting and sort of give a report. And also, we do have many of the newly arrived migrants living in our 33rd and 34th, correct? No?
We don't have a migrant shelter in the third precinct.
We do have families though, because I know
No,
they're
you're right. I
registered
thought you
in the
meant like a shelter.
schools.
Correct. I thought you meant like a shelter itself. No.
What?
I thought you meant like an actual shelter, like actual
No.
cities.
Mm-mm.
No.
So I just wondered if there were efforts to reach out to their domestic, because there's a lot of domestic stress in those situations. If there was any sort of initiative to try to reach out to them.
No, not at this moment. I mean, it is a touchy topic.
Yes.
A lot of migrants are most likely afraid to come to police. They think there's gonna be some type of repercussions, which obviously they would not.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no effort as to go specifically to migrants. Just since you're asking about domestic violence and since COVID and crimes, just I don't have exact numbers in front of me, but I could tell you in the past 3 years, the numbers of domestic violence complaints has gone down approximately 37%.
Oh, good.
But the number of domestic violence majors has gone up 16%. For the 28-day, the number of complaints has gone down approximately 13%. And for the year to date, we're approximately down 29% in domestic violence complaints.
Okay.
Can I just jump in terms of DV? If
Go
I
ahead.
Madam
Please.
Chair. So first of all, domestic violence across the board is usually steady, at least in Patrol Borough Manhattan North. So, you know, reaching out to migrants when we don't have a shelter in this area, we can't identify where they are. What is happening is there are efforts undertaken where there's a few churches that do set up a resource fair for migrants, specifically not in this area, in the 2-4 area, where they do go for resources, including information on domestic violence and, you know, and a whole slew of other resources that they need. But in terms of reaching out to them directly, if they're not in one specific place, it's really hard to, you know, to know where they are in terms of where they're living, to do outreach. And that, you know, that would also assume that they're going through a situation that they may not be going through. But there are churches that are doing efforts to reach the migrants, not just to give them DV info, but also information on resources and legal resources to help with their statuses. Now, I'm speaking about DV because that's one of the main things we do here in the Washington Heights office and the Harlem office through our domestic violence project. We work very closely with the 3-4 and the 3-3 DV units. You know, we table with them. The men and women are out there. They do home visits. They have their list of their high propensity list, which is homes where there's continual reports and or arrests. So that they had a very well coordinated effort in terms of trying to address DV, especially in the homes where, you know, where there has to have been more than one response, or the response has been due to a particularly egregious crime. Okay. Does that answer some of your concerns, Barbara?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I just meant that especially in this post-COVID environment, things are, and also because there's a lot of evictions going on and the housing situation is becoming increasingly unstable. So it's just much harder right now, much harder, you know.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
appreciate everything you're doing, you know, it's hard.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Miss Minaya. So I guess while we're at it, feel free. The floor is yours, Jocelyn, on behalf of the District Attorney's Office here in Washington Heights.
Thank you, Jameer 9, good evening, everyone. Jocelyn Minaya with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I have the honor and privilege of serving this community as the director of our Washington Heights office. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all of the wonderful women in this community, on this community board. I, for one, know that I stand on the shoulders of many amazing women. So I want to congratulate us all for Women's History Month, Women's Empowerment Month, Women's Love Month, whatever you want to call it. It should be Women's Year, right? But we'll take a month and enjoy it. So I want to just show appreciation and love to all of the women in this community. And in saying that, I really have a very brief report. Just want to thank the community board for helping us promote our youth programs for this summer. The deadline has passed for our gun violence prevention fellowship, but from what I understand, the number of applicants really rose exponentially from last year. And I'm really hoping that, that a lot of those applications came from CB12 area. And the high school internship, the deadline is Friday. So I'm also praying that we got a good representation from this community that will be able to join us this summer. I also wanted to give you a case update in terms of a tragic case that occurred in the 3-4 precinct 2 summers ago in 2022 when 2 pedestrians were killed by a vehicle after a driver ran into another driver. 2 innocent bystanders, Joel Adames and David Fernandez. The case has been adjudicated. The driver of the vehicle that caused the crash pled guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter in the 2nd degree, and he was just sentenced this Monday to 5 to 15 years in state prison for that tragic crash that killed those 2 young men, and potentially took 2 wonderful people, local community Inwood residents, and lifelong friends, took them away from their family. So we're glad that this case has been adjudicated in that manner. And the DA's office, we definitely take all crimes seriously, but people acting recklessly, causing the death of other people really is something that hits home, and I'm glad again that this case was adjudicated. That's all that I have for tonight. And I hope everyone gets home safe and dry because it's really bad out there. But if there are any questions for me, I'm happy to take them. It's not.
Thank you, Jocelyn. We appreciate everything you do. Okay, so moving on, I see we have Superintendent Miller. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I've missed the last couple of meetings because I didn't realize they started at 6:30. But I hope everybody's doing well. Some quick updates. Edgecombe is doing well. Our transitional housing program is expanded to include women. We were recently funded by the governor's office to be able to support individuals to find permanent housing. So we are doing everything to help individuals get returning from prison, diverting them from the shelter system, and giving them the opportunities to get resumes done, mock interview skills, closing for interviews, and actually bring in some employers that want to work with our population. Women's work release program continues to do well. So everything's very positive there. And we're very excited to take on the opportunity to be the first correctional facility in New York State to have a hydroponic garden. So we anticipate that starting the end of March. We're going to be doing our annual private citizen tour Tuesday, June 4th. I will send out an invite, so anyone that hasn't toured will have an opportunity to RSVP. The details will be forthcoming. That's the latest and greatest. Any questions?
I have a question. Is the tour wheelchair accessible by chance?
There's, I would, yes. Yes, we have an elevator. I'm sure we could accommodate.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out. Thank you.
Okay.
Superintendent Miller, the employers that you have coming for potential job offers, what positions are the women seeking, and have you been able to place them in? What industries or what type of job categories are they looking, are you finding fits?
Right now it's the food industry and the hotel industry. Those are the two main employers, whether it's fast food or whether it's the hospitality industry.
In the hospitality industry, what kind of positions?
Right now it's the basic. It's the basic, which is housekeeping. We did have someone that was working at the desk. So it just depends on, what they're looking for and what's available. We are always looking for, upping the what's available. We're actually about to enter into a partnership with Restaurant Ready, which is specifically about the hospitality industry and more of those point of service positions like the front desk and concierge and things of that nature. So supposed to be some training involved.
Yeah, is there any partnership that you can do which would, like, especially if you do front desk and concierge with, for example, beauty school so the women can fashion up their appearance, or also with a culinary school so that they can get some higher level skills to move into like better restaurants? I mean, is there any sort of skills partnerships you can get?
There are those possibilities. That's where reentry fairs are very important, and just looking what's out there and who's looking to work with the population. But of course, they also have the ability to seek things on their own when they're on furlough and they're out in the community. But we're always looking for somebody that wants to work with those that are coming out of the system. And so I think this Restaurant Ready partnership, once that develops, I'll get a better idea of how far that can expand. And we have an assistant reentry manager that's based at our facility that looks into the community for those kind of resources. So if anybody's aware of anything, please feel free to contact me. You can get my email information through the board, and I will follow up with you.
Well, for example, Queens Vocational and Technical High School has a beauty school on site, and like it used to be when I taught there, every Fridays they had an open uh, beauty clinic, so that they did haircuts and permanents and nails. I used to have the most fabulous manicures, and things like that, and it was $1 or something like that. So you might call up the school, and there's a couple other high schools that have cosmetology vocational programs. That to me would be a really nice partnership.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a couple of notes and have my reentry manager follow up on that.
Sure, yeah. Or generally, cosmetology schools have open sessions where the under supervision, the student, because they can't charge. I mean, they can't work on retail clients. So under supervision, the student works on a client with the manager there. So just a thought.
I like it. So we definitely follow up.
Yeah. Mhm.
So like I said, so just the board, just send me an email and I'll respond back with the invite with the information. You can share it out to anybody on, that's interested. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Thank you, Superintendent Miller. Do you mind resharing that tour date?
Tuesday, June 4th. It would be 11 a.m. Uh, can I share my screen very quickly?
Yes, let me give you the access.
All right.
I think you should be able to. Oh, hold on. I have to make you a co-host. Here you go. All right. You should be
All right.
set.
Okay, let's see. All right, can you guys see? Share.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. All right, here goes. All right, so it's the Edgecombe Residential Treatment Facility, annual tour by private citizens, Tuesday, June 4th, 2024, 11 a.m. The tour will include a brief history of the facility, an overview of the programs offered, a tour of the facility, a question and answer session, and light refreshments will be served. And the person to RSVP with is ivan.martin@docs.ny.gov. In the RSVP, we ask for the full name and title. We need the names by May 24th. For those coming in, a photo ID will be required. Electronic equipment, including cell phones and cameras, are not permitted. Conservative dress is required, meaning you just have to dress appropriately. And all guests must be at least 18 years of age. Okay? Any questions? And I can share this, like I said, when you guys email me, I will respond with it. All right? So that's it. I'll stop sharing my screen now. I can figure out how to do that. How do I stop sharing? All right, so you are sharing. Stop share. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great picture there. Great photo.
Thank you, Superintendent Miller. We
Thank you.
have our general board meeting on April 23rd at 6:30 p.m. So I'll make sure to give that message, that invitation to the rest of the community board.
Please, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Maria Luna, I see you're present. Are you here to share with us anything on behalf of your public safety organization? Or are you just here as a lovely guest? Okay, so I don't see any questions. Do we have any final remarks? Anyone would like to share anything before we call it a night?
As we get close for the April meeting, I think that as the spring is coming, we should have some discussion, maybe a joint meeting with parks about park safety and what the summer is going to look like for presence of patrols and safety in the parks.
Thank you, Barbara. And I would like in the future, like within the next couple of months before we go like on summer break, to address the situations with the mailbox and the theft that's going on in our communities, and like folks stealing checks out of local USPS mailbox, usually the blue ones that are stationed on Broadway or different avenues across the neighborhood. So if we can possibly have that conversation on preventive measures, especially for elders, I think that would be great. Do we have any final questions or remarks before
Just
we
one
call it
quick
a?
thing. Just one
Go
quick-
ahead.
I was wondering if we had heard at all from the fire department. Since they haven't come to, I think they came maybe to one meeting since I've been on the committee, and they haven't been since.
Yeah, and that was, I think that was actually in January when they last came.
Yeah.
But the rep that we have, she was supporting her sister who was transitioning into maternity leave. Her sister just gave birth. But I haven't got any updates from the FDNY, and she's the one person who does those community relationships. So I'll follow up with her within the next few days to see if they'll be able to have somebody present for April.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Indiana. Yeah, that's very important. We want to hear from the fire department.
Yeah.
Another issue is, and the mayor actually brought this up again, the package theft. And I just wonder if there's any way, I guess this is also with housing. In my building, we actually have a locked cage that has a combination on it. And UPS, FedEx, and so forth put all the packages in that cage. And that has virtually eliminated theft in our building. And I know that the 34th had said to me before, when I was active in the council there, that the really hard hit buildings are the buildings that, because I live in a big building, 200 apartments, the hard hit buildings are the ones that are like 60, 80 apartments. People aren't around during the day. Things are just left in the lobby. If there's some way that we could pressure landlords to put in a package cage, you know, they're not that expensive, you know? I'm just wondering if there's some community initiative that, in the same way that landlords in the 60s finally put locks on outer doors and stuff like that. So I'm just bringing that up, that it's really something that's got to happen. So just a
Thank you for
comment.
that, Barbara. Yeah, we actually had a similar conversation in regards to package theft last meeting. However, I think this is a great conversation to have alongside housing, the housing committee. Maybe we can work on something together for the future because it is a very prevalent problem. All right, everybody. Well, thank
I
you,
wanted
everyone.
to thank you, Jamirna, for representing us in person and getting out there in the rain. So
Of course,
appreciate it.
I'm soaked right now, but
I know. That's actually what happened to me. I came home so wet I could not get outside again at 6:15.
no worries, no worries.
Thank
That's what
you.
we do for the community. We're literally outside. But yes, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you next month, April 3rd at 6:30, or you can definitely join us at the general board.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Wait. Motion to adjourn?
Yes, ma'am. Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Technically, we didn't even call it to order because we didn't have quorum, but yes.
Well, okay. All right.
All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.